How about a playthrough of Arkham Noir? This is collector case number 1. It is a little bit different than the retail case number 1, which I don't have, but I think play is similar. In it, we are a private investigator looking into the disappearances and or murders of some local folks of the town of Leeds. To play, first thing we have to do is just discard a random victim. I didn't want to take the bottom one. And then we got to open our cases. So Clement Lestrange has gone missing, and so has Bill St. Clair, child. The other 3 victims remain over here. If I ever have to draw a victim, and I can't because they are all out, then I have lost. It's essentially a set collection kind of matching sort of game. We'll get into the details as we play. We're going to set up a row of 5. These are your clue cards, your leads to follow. And we have a hand of 3 cards, which we just keep face up down here. It'd be pretty hard to see. Okay, the way it works is we always play with the front card. And what we have to do with this front card, we have 3 choices, or 5 choices. We can play it to an open case. Now, there's where the matching aspect comes in. It has to match symbols here in order to play it on this case. There are some other things going on. For example, this card has a lock on it, and in order to play a card with a lock on it, I need to play a card with a key on it, and I don't have an example of that right now. So I can't play this card, because 1, it doesn't match here. 2, I don't have a key. So I have to do one of the other things. I can take it to my hand. Okay? If I take it to my hand, I have a hand limit of 3, so I'd have to discard 1. And I got to be careful about discarding. When I discard a card like this one with an hourglass on it, then that goes into, my time penalty area. And if the time penalty area reaches 5 cards, then I have to draw a new victim. And that's one way that this victim pile gets depleted. Okay, I take it to my hand. I could just discard it. Same rules for this hourglass apply. So if I chose to discard it, I would have to place it in discard. I could discard it and close an open case, or I could discard it and pass. So 3 of the choices involve discarding. If I discard, I can play a card. If I discard, I can close an open case. If I discard, I can pass. Or I can play it to an open case. Or I could just take it and not have to discard anything else. Okay, hopefully that made sense. I'm going to take it in hand. And I'm going to discard this card. This card does not have an hourglass symbol on it, so it just is going to go in a regular discard pile. How do you win? Well, we're going to win by closing cases that have these puzzle piece symbols in them. Our goal is to collect 5 puzzle pieces of different types. This is the evidence type. I believe this is called evidence. This is the evidence piece. This is the person of interest piece. I would need 5 different types. And the way that I get them is by having the puzzle piece in a case when I close it. Okay, so this card is got a match, so I could play it. I could also discard it and play a card from my hand. The only time that you can ever play from your hand is if you discard this opening card. Okay, this guy, when you play a card, you got to look at the bottom. If it's black, you must do it. If it's this kind of brownish gold color, then you can do it. In this case, I can pull a card out of the time penalty, which I do not have a time penalty right now, so that's all we'll do. Also notice this green bar. When I play 3 cards with that green bar within an open case, then I can draw a broadcast card, which is a different type of lead to follow. I'm listening to the murderer or abductor over the radio, because apparently they are using some ham radio and kind of taunting us as we go. I don't know the story. Okay, so here's my lead card. I can play it here. Now I might not want to play it here because it's the same type of clue. So I am actually going to discard this card, which allows me to play one from hand. And I can't play these two because they're locked, but I can play this one, this location. I can play down here because it says any. And this effect allows me to draw a card from the row. I will draw, I don't have to. I will draw this lady. Okay. I have played this game 5 times now, and I've won twice. So that gives you an idea of difficulty level. Maybe. You don't know if I'm any good or not. Okay. Person of interest, I can play him either place. So let's just play him up here. And again, this allows me to draw one from the row. And I will, in fact, draw one from, no I won't, because I have a hand of 3 and they all have hourglasses, which would force me to discard an hourglass. Now, the time penalty area isn't awful, but it shouldn't be taken for granted. Okay, this one, this is a horror or a threat or a monster type clue. Some cannibals. So apparently there's cannibals going on in this story. Maybe some cannibalism. I hope this guy was not the result of cannibalistic behavior. Okay, we got our first black event. This is a sanity check or stability check. And to do that, we draw our top card, and if it has this marker right here in this lower corner, then I fail. And then I start filling in my sanity row. And if it fills up, then I have lost. However, it doesn't, so this is a standard discard. If I did that sanity check and there was an hourglass on it, it would get discarded in time penalty. So that's that. This allows me to draw from the row. I won't do that. I do not have to do the brown ones, but I must do the black events. And ultimately what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get 5 different symbols in here, including some puzzle pieces, and that's when I can close a case, when I have 5 different symbols in here. So this card is a lore card. I can't play it anywhere. It doesn't have a time symbol, so I could just discard it. I could take it in the hand. We're just going to discard it, which allows me to play from hand. This is the only one I can play, and I can, so I'll play her down here. I'm not going to play it here because I've already got a person of interest within this case. This is draw a card from a closed case. I don't have any closed cases, so we are all done. So we'll just keep plugging along here. We'll talk about winning and clues and keys as they come up. And speaking of keys, this is getting a little frustrating. Okay, this has got a time penalty. It's a person of interest. I'm just going to take it to hand. Oops. There's our first key. So we need to get the key on the board so that we can use it to play a lock card. They don't have to be consecutive, but they do have to be, it has to precede it. Okay, so we got a lot going on here. We play this card. The first thing we do is the effect. This effect is discard 1 from hand. We're going to discard this person of interest card. It has an hourglass, so it's going to go in our time penalty area. No big deal. It's our first card up there. Further, this is our third green square, so that means we get to draw a broadcast card on something that's happened over the airwaves. Cries of the damned. And we have to play this. This is our... I'll play it down here. And unfortunately, we have to do this. So I have to discard one of these. There's two of these, but there's only one of these. So we're going to discard this. And we're ready to go. I am thinking about how long the investigation goes because there are penalties, and we'll talk about them if they should occur. This is an evidence. I can play it down here. I don't have to. In fact, I am not going to, because I'd much rather play the next one. So we're going to discard it, no penalty. Actually, let's take it to hand. No penalty. Okay, this next guy, I can play it here. It's our first green blocks in this case. This allows me to pull a card from my stability track. I don't have any there, so we can ignore it. I don't like to spend those cards because filling up that stability track is another way we lose. In this case, it's empty. Okay, so we've got a person of interest. I'm going to take it to hand. I don't want to discard it. I've got room in my hand. It's always nice to have a little bit of room in your hand. So if you can play from there, you're going to want to. We're going to play this key card. And we can play it on either case because it's an any. Let's just play it on the top one. We found some cryptic graffiti, and this key now allows us to play a lock puzzle card. And there's no effect on the bottom of that card, so we are ready to go. Except this is a lore or a research. I think it's research. So this one requires conversation or an interview. One just came up. Observation. I think it's observation. I'm not sure. So we got to get that set up. Person of interest. It's discarder, and it allows us to play from hand. And so now I'm thinking about how do I set up this. I can set it up with this card, but I can't play this anywhere. I could set this one up with this card, even though it's a second person of interest. Let's play it here. Okay. And then this is draw from discard. I'm going to go through that. I have room to draw one, so I'm going to go through it, and I'll be right back. All right, I've chosen not to pick from the discard. So I still have an open spot. Let me clean this up a bit. Okay, this has got... Hold it. Get a key in the bottom row now. I'm going to play this down here, so we don't have a key in the bottom row. Our investigation gets too long when it passes this column, when it's marked by this card right here. Now that key card didn't have any effect on the bottom, so we're ready to go. Alright, this is another type. Unfortunately, I can't play it, so I have to either take it to hand, which I will, which means I have to discard, and we'll discard this guy. Okay. Oh. I didn't want to do that. I forgot the plan. Okay, we're okay. Stinks, but we're okay. All right, we're going to take this to hand. We're going to discard this to time. I'm going to play this here. This requires a stability check, which I have failed. So this card goes here. And again, if I fill this up, I have lost. Okay, we're going to discard, no penalty. And we're going to play our first puzzle piece, stability check. And we pass, but this has a hourglass, so it is our fourth up here. All right, so we are ready to close our first case, which I will do now. So the way I close a case is I discard, no time penalty, and I'm going to close this case. And the reason that I can close it is because I have 5 different symbols. We've got location, person, horror, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then these two are the same, so it's still 5. The puzzle piece, if I want to keep it, it can't be counted. So I have 5 without it. I don't have 6. If I have 6 different, including the puzzle piece, so it could be different, then I can reduce stability by 1. I can draw a card from up here. Puzzle piece goes here, just so I can keep track of having 5. These all go up here. The cards are out of the game. Well, they're kind of out of the game. This case is closed. If I close a case, if I close my last case, then we reset a little bit. But I'm going to push all these up, and then we're going to slide over. So give me a moment. Okay, here we go. So we flip. I'm going to discard now. No, I'm not. I'm going to take to hand. Shoot. I don't think I can avoid this either way. I was going to try to close my case without spending time penalty, but let's see if I can get away with this. Take this to hand. Yeah, let's take it to hand. No, I'm not going to be able to. Okay, and then discard this, which is our 5th card. That's going to happen after our turn. I discarded the lead card, which allows me to play this guy here. Now, it's okay if I could close it right now, then that would all get wiped because it's my last open case. But I can't close it until I discard that card. So I play this here. This means I have to discard a card from this row. None of them are time. Let's get rid of this. These, oh, no they don't. Because the first thing that happens is this wipes because I have failed time. This wipes to discard. And we open a new case. And we have Susan Dimsler has now gone missing. So these slide down. And we fill in. Okay, I'm going to take this to hand. I'm going to play this key here. I'm going to discard and close the case. I'm going to close this case, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not going to count this. So this goes. This is my second puzzle piece. These get wiped. Case closed. I don't open a new one because it wasn't my last open case. Okay. I'm going to take this to hand, which means I have to discard. I'd rather not use this card, so I'll discard it. We're going to play a second key on this case, which allows me 2 puzzle pieces. This is going to require a stability check. Top card will be stability because that happens first. I pass. Had an hourglass. Okay, we are going to, I can't play this card. It would be a third key. I can't play it because it's got 3. So I can either take it to hand or discard it. I'm going to discard it so that I can play from hand. It's got to be observation, so this is the only one. I can play that because I'm using one of the keys. This is discard 1 from the row. I'll discard this from the row. And now we'll fill in. A couple turns here. We're going to pause, finish this in part 2. Okay, we're going to take this to hand. We're going to discard, which allows us to play from hand. And we're going to put in our second puzzle piece, which allows or costs a stability check that I fail. And then I fill in. We are going to, I need observation. We're going to take this to hand. We're going to play, which allows me to take a card from the row. I'm not going to. It's my last card. We're going to talk about that in a moment, and it is my turn. So we're going to, I can't play this because it's a puzzle. We are, I'd really like to set up this observation. Okay, so we are going to discard number 4. We're going to put, oh shoot, I missed a broadcast. Sorry. We're going to broadcast right now. So it'll have a small effect if I win, and I apologize. This allows me to exchange a card in hand for one in the penalty area. I'm not going to do that. Okay, and then it's my third. It's actually my fourth. So we have broadcast card. Couldn't play it anyway, so even here I couldn't have played it. So this goes in my discard. So no effect on the game. And that's it. Okay, so these slide down. And what happens if I run out of cards is these get shuffled in. Shuffled to form a new stack. And a new victim comes out. It's kind of like time. It's another way to measure time. I'm going to shuffle these up. And we're actually going to start with part 2 when I get back. So we'll have a little break in here. Peace.